I should have known something was off the moment I saw the listing. A free antique couch must pick up tonight, posted only minutes before I searched for furniture. No profile picture. No seller history. Just the address and a single blurry photo. When I arrived at the old house on Willow Street, the porch light flickered in a steady, unnatural pattern, almost like it knew I was coming. The couch sat outside, wrapped in a dusty white sheet. The seller, a tall man with an unreadable smile, stood behind the screen door. "Just take it," he said. While loading it into my truck, I noticed deep claw marks under the sheet, long, curved scratches cutting into the wooden frame. I didn't want to ask how they got there. That night, I heard dragging sounds downstairs. When I came down to check, the couch had shifted 3 feet closer to the stairs. By the 4th night, it had climbed halfway up. On the 5th, it made it to my bedroom door. I don't use Craigslist anymore. And the couch, let's just say it's not in my house anymore, but sometimes, late at night, I swear I hear dragging noises out in the woods behind my home. I met her in the parking lot of a nearly empty strip mall. She was selling a used DSLR for unbelievably cheap. The listing said it was barely used. When I inspected the camera, I noticed the memory card was still inside. "Go ahead," she said. "You can keep whatever's on it." When I got home, I plugged the card into my laptop. There were hundreds of photos. All taken in different homes. Different bedrooms. Different living rooms. Always at night. Every subject was a sleeping person. But then, the last 10 photos weren't taken by the seller. They were taken in my home. My bedroom. My living room. My hallway. All from the night before I bought the camera. The final photo was a close-up of my face, mouth slightly open, eyes half-lidded like I was beginning to wake up. The timestamp 3:14 a.m. I was home. I was asleep. And I was completely alone. Or so I thought. Rent was killing me, so a last-minute Craigslist room offer seemed like a blessing. Cheap price, furnished room, must be comfortable with unusual noises. When I knocked, the owner, a gray-haired man with dark, sunken eyes, opened the door without saying a word, just motioning for me to follow. The house smelled like dust and old paper. The walls were covered with dozens of Polaroids showing previous tenants. None of them smiled. As he showed me the room, he stopped in the hallway and whispered, "When she knocks at night, don't answer." I laughed nervously, thinking it was some weird joke. It wasn't. My first night there, something scratched lightly at my door at 2:33 a.m. A second night knocking. Slow. Rhythmic. On the third night, it became frantic, like someone pounding with both fists. The next morning, I found a Polaroid slid under my door. A picture taken from the hallway. From outside my room. It showed me sleeping, and a blurry figure standing beside my bed. I left before dawn. The landlord didn't try to stop me. He simply said, "She doesn't like when they leave." The stories show the hidden dangers of meeting strangers and picking up items from online marketplace listings where you can never truly know what's behind the screen. In the digital world we live in, convenience has become a quiet lure, an invisible thread pulling us toward quicker solutions, cheaper deals, and instant connections with strangers whose names we don't even bother to remember. Online marketplaces like Craigslist seem harmless at first glance, a place where people exchange items, rent rooms, or meet for simple transactions that feel almost routine. But beneath the surface of those casual listings and bargain prices lies a darker truth, one that countless buyers and sellers have learned the hard way. And it is this hidden layer, the part no one writes in the description, that makes Craigslist transactions such fertile ground for horror. When you engage with someone online, the only thing separating you from them is a screen. Their words, their photos, their promises, all filtered, curated, and shaped into whatever image they want you to see. A seller can claim to be a young couple moving out of their apartment. In reality, it might be one person sitting in the dark, watching the messages roll in, choosing which unsuspecting buyer to lure. A profile picture might show a smiling face, but that smile may belong to someone who doesn't even know their image is being used. A listing might describe an antique chair or a lightly used camera, but no caption reveals what happened in the room where those items sat, or who last touched them, or what energy they carry with them. Unlike polished, corporate platforms that enforce identity verification and safety regulations, Craigslist is raw, almost lawless. It operates like a vast marketplace on the edge of the digital frontier, dimly lit, unguarded, and open to whoever dares to step inside. Within its shadows, anonymity becomes a mask anyone can wear. And anonymity, when combined with physical meetups, creates the perfect conditions for danger to slip in unnoticed. One of the most unsettling aspects of these hidden dangers is how ordinary everything seems at first. A couch left out on a porch, a camera offered at a low price, a spare room available for rent. These are everyday scenarios that stir no instinctive fear. You walk in believing it's just another errand. Another small moment in your day. Another human interaction you will forget once it's over. But horror thrives on this exact predictability. It feeds on the moments when your guard is down, when you believe you're safe, when you tell yourself that nothing bad will happen because this is normal. The horror in Craigslist encounters isn't always the dramatic, cinematic kind. Often, it begins with subtle details you don't fully process until it's too late. A seller who watches you for a little too long. A house that feels too empty or too quiet, an item with marks, scratches, or stains that shouldn't be there. A room that smells wrong when you step inside. A strange pause before someone answers the door. The sense that you aren't alone, even when you can't see another person nearby. Your instinct might whisper something, just a soft warning in the back of your mind, but you ignore it because you want the deal to be real. You want the convenience to outweigh the discomfort. And that is exactly how danger finds its way in. There is also the illusion of mutual trust, the belief that because both parties are strangers, both must behave politely, roughly following the same unspoken rules. That illusion shatters when you remember that a stranger who knows your name, your face, your voice, and your approximate location holds far more power than you think. A harmless purchase suddenly becomes a moment of vulnerability. You meet someone for the first time, but they've already studied you, your replies, your arrival time, your voice, your car. They might even take note of the direction you leave in, or how alone you seem. And when the item comes home with you, the connection doesn't always end. That object could have its own story, one that doesn't stay behind when you load it into your trunk. People forget that second-hand items have histories. They've lived in places you've never seen, witnessed things you'll never know, absorbed emotions and energies left behind by people whose lives may have twisted into dark shapes long before you came along. Bringing these objects into your home is like opening a door without asking what's on the other side. Perhaps the most chilling part of buying from online listings is the realization that you're interacting with someone who has nothing to lose. They may vanish after the exchange, no trace, no accountability, no profile photo that's actually theirs. If something goes wrong, if the item was stolen, haunted, broken, cursed, or used for something unspeakable, you have no recourse. You have nothing but the lingering memory of that dim porch light, that half-empty parking lot, or that quiet room where you made the mistake of trusting a stranger. The stories in this compilation highlight that unease, the reality that behind every online listing, behind every free item, lightly used, or must pick up tonight, there lies a person you know nothing about. And sometimes, the danger isn't the person at all. Sometimes, it's the thing they're giving you. In the end, the terror of Craigslist isn't about the marketplace itself. It's about what we reveal of ourselves when we meet strangers. What we invite into our homes. And what we choose to ignore, until it's staring right back at us. Each horror centers on the unsettling idea that the familiar furniture, cameras, roommates can become terrifying when tied to an unknown past or unseen presence. Horror has always thrived on the distortion of the familiar. Monsters lurking in forests or ghosts haunting abandoned mansions may frighten us, but they do so from a safe distance far from our daily routines. The true terror emerges when the ordinary becomes corrupted, when the things we rely on, live with, sleep near, or touch every day reveal a darker truth. That is why the Craigslist stories resonate so deeply. They transform everyday objects and normal interactions into something sinister, forcing us to question the safety of our own spaces. There is a unique fear in realizing that the danger didn't follow you home. You carried it inside yourself. Take the simple act of buying a couch, a chair, or a used appliance. It should be mundane, almost boring. Yet, items sold second-hand often come with invisible baggage. A couch might contain stains, smells, or memories from another life, things you don't immediately see but can sense when you sit down, when the lights dim, when the house settles. You assume the scratches on its legs are from moving, not claw marks. You assume its weight is just the wood inside it, not something shifting when you aren't looking. You assume it's just an object. But objects can outlive people. Objects witness things. Objects remember. When an unfamiliar item enters your home subtly reshapes itself around it. The air feels different. The room looks different. You find yourself glancing at it without knowing why. Maybe you hear sounds you didn't hear before, faint tapping, wood creaking, something sliding ever so slightly when no one is near it. Maybe shadows fall strangely on it at night. Maybe you dream something you've never dreamed before. This is the heart of the horror, the merging of the familiar with the unknown, the crossing of a boundary that should have remained sealed. Cameras hold an even more insidious power because they are designed not just to observe but to record. A used camera carries the eyes of every person who held it before you. When you pick it up, you believe you're documenting your world, but what if the camera is documenting you? The unsettling truth is that cameras are portals in their own quiet way. They preserve moments long after they've passed. When you inherit someone's camera, you inherit their perspective, their angles, their secrets, their obsessions. And sometimes, what they left behind on the memory card wasn't meant for anyone else to see. A photo of a place you've never visited. A person you've never met. A room that should not exist. A face pressed against the glass, taken at night. You scroll through the images, unaware that the camera is merely continuing where its previous owner left off. And when the last picture is of your house, of your sleeping body, you understand too late that familiarity is not protection but a vulnerability. Rooms and living spaces are even more intimately tied to us. They're places of rest, safety, and routine. You walk through your bedroom, your kitchen, your hallway without thinking. You know the angles, the shadows, the sounds of the pipes and the hum of the lights. A new roommate, especially one found through a casual listing, seems like a manageable risk. People share homes all the time. but a stranger living behind thin walls transforms your familiar sanctuary into hostile territory. You start hearing footsteps when they're not home. You catch whispers even when the door is closed. You find things slightly moved. Small personal items vanish, then reappear in places you never put them. The presence of another person shifts the energy of a home in countless invisible ways. Their habits bleed into your comfort. Their noises disrupt your peace. And worst of all, you don't truly know who they are, not beyond the polite smiles, the basic introductions, the short messages exchanged online. You don't know what they bring with them, what follows them, what they're trying to escape from, or what they're willing to do at night, when the house is dark, and everyone is asleep. The terror doesn't just come from the people or the objects, it comes from the collision between your familiar world and their unfamiliar one. A room is safe until someone else breathes in it. A hallway is peaceful until someone waits in it. A couch is harmless until something crawls out of its history. What makes these scenarios terrifying is not the presence of evil, but the possibility of it. It's the realization that something as simple as a purchase, a message, or a meeting could shift your entire reality. The things you trust most, your furniture, your living space, your privacy, can be turned against you the moment an unknown presence attaches itself to them. The familiar becomes a mask. The unknown becomes the truth beneath it. And when that truth reveals itself, you're forced to confront the eerie idea that your home, your belongings, and your daily life were never as safe as you believed. The horrors of Craigslist aren't about monsters or ghosts, they're about what happens when innocence, routine, and comfort collide with the unseen threads of another life. In these stories, the ordinary is the doorway. The unknown is what steps through. As the screen fades and the whispers settle, remember this: the scariest stories are not always buried in forests, abandoned houses, or forgotten graveyards. Sometimes, they hide in the places we trust the most: our living rooms, our bedrooms, our favorite apps, and the quiet corners of the internet where strangers wait behind flickering screens. Maybe you've bought something online recently. Maybe you've met someone in a dim parking lot for a quick exchange. Maybe there's an item in your home right now that you don't truly know the history of. If tonight's stories remind you of anything, let it be this: not every good deal is worth the price. And not every stranger stays a stranger. Some objects never stop watching. Some rooms never forget their previous owners. And some presences follow you home long after the listing disappears. Sleep lightly tonight. And if you hear something shift in the darkness, don't worry. It's probably nothing. Probably